Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanic. And if you enjoyed this fanic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanic like this. And now let's start the fanic.
4 years after the Fourth Shinobi World War, 30th of March. Sigh. A lone figure draped in a heavy cloak and hood exhaled in the light drizzle, increasing the fog he walks through even more as he leaves the cityscape of the hidden rain village behind him. What am I going to do now? The shinobi questioned himself mentally. Damn old toad, giving me a prophecy of without any specifics. He told me to retrace my steps from the beginning to the end, only then will the next path appear. What the hell does that even mean? Naruto cried out in his mental landscape. Sigh. I guess I should take the quick way home, rather than walk all the way back. Hey, Kurama, mind if I take some chakra? Even I don't have enough chakra to use the flying thunder god jutsu to get back in one go. Grunt. Come on Kurama. Don't me like that. Mumble. Hey, Furball, I know you hear me. Who are you calling Furball, foolish mortal? Oh come on Kurama. You've been more of a pain since you merged with your yin half. I still don't understand how my yang half took a liking to you. Nonetheless mortal, you needn't ask, must I keep reminding you? You conquered my yang half, so you have right of half, and only half, of my chakra. No more, unless you wish to risk your life again. Come on Kurama, I already told you I don't want to fight you. I just want us to be friends. Just like young Kurama. My other half has become weak if he considers you a friend, mortal. How could you understand the mind of an immortal? Man, this guy is just a grumpy kitty. I can hear you, mortal. Shit, fine. I'll win you over one of these days Yin Kurama. Grunt. Naruto closes his eyes and meditates. Slowly, he absorbs the nature energy around him and melds it with his own chakra and some from the Kyuubi's chakra. He focuses even more, feeling out the landscape of Konoha from memory and where his seal is. Suddenly, Naruto vanishes as he is pulled through the very fabric of space and time towards the anchor which is the seal at the other end. A flash of blinding light fills the room. What the hell Naruto? The blonde Hokage yelled out in pure reaction to the flash. Oh, hi Tsunade. I sink to the wrong ta. The fifth Hokage swiftly delivers a punch to his head. Maybe I should change your title to Knucklehead Ninja Naruto. Hey, actual. No, let's not go there. He shook his head to clear his thoughts. Come on Tsunade. Hokage. Suna. Hokage. Grandam. The blonde Hokage delivers another swift blow to the head. Okay. Hokage. I'm sorry. I focused on the wrong tag when I jumped from the hidden rain village. You jumped all the way from the hidden rain village. How did you not die from that? Oh, I borrowed some chakra, although, I do feel tired. Shit. Tsunade cried out as Naruto came crashing to the ground unconscious. Heh. Foolish mortal. A quarter of my chakra would be enough if you did it right. Several hours passed before he stirred. His head twitched suddenly, making loud cracking sounds. The blonde shinobi groaned loudly. What happened? The ninja asked in a groggy state, not expecting an answer. You forgot to remove your own seals before making that jump, you idiot. Damn, I knew I was forgetting to do something. I leave them on for so long I forget about them. How long was I out for? 2 hours. 2 hours. Naruto asked in disbelief as she stirred even more on the couch. You're lucky it wasn't longer. I had to transfer some of my chakra to you just to stabilize your condition. Seemed that damn fox isn't going to help you unless you are about to die. Oh, he was laughing his off, heard the furball for hours. Growl. A shiver ran through his spine from the demonic rumble the beast inside was giving off. Naruto clenched his eyes and stretched his upper body before springing out of the bed. Am I good to go? Even if I said no, you would leave anyways. Thank you Tsunade. Naruto exclaimed as he climbed out the window, ready to jump. I'll visit again soon. With his final statement, he leapt homebound. Several hours passed before he stirred. His head twitched suddenly, making loud cracking sounds. The blonde shinobi groaned loudly. What happened? The ninja asked in a groggy state, not expecting an answer. You forgot to remove your own seals before making that jump, you idiot. Damn, I knew I was forgetting to do something. I leave them on for so long I forget about them. How long was I out for? 2 hours. 2 hours? Naruto asked in disbelief as she stirred even more on the couch. You're lucky it wasn't longer. I had to transfer some of my chakra to you just to stabilize your condition. Seemed that damn fox isn't going to help you unless you are about to die. Oh, he was laughing his off, heard the furball for hours. Growl. A shiver ran through his spine from the demonic rumble the beast inside was giving off. Naruto clenched his eyes and stretched his upper body before springing out of the bed. Am I good to go? Even if I said no, you would leave anyways. Thank you, Tsunade. Naruto exclaimed as he climbed out the window, ready to jump. I'll visit again soon. With his final statement, he leapt homebound. Chapter 2. Chance Encounter. Open corner bracket 30th of March. The Hokage looked down where Naruto was just perched and noticed a puddle of water. Damn it, Naruto. You didn't even realize your cloak was wet. She surveyed the area even more and noticed several droplets of water scattered upon the wooden floor throughout her office. Real piece of work. Leaves a trail of water and mud through my office and just leaves without realizing. Tsunade inwardly sighed as she decided to start cleaning up the mess. Best remind myself to lecture him again next time I see him about being clean before coming in my office again. Soaring through the air with great leaps, his cloak extended out behind him like a cape, as the drops of water flew off from the speed of his jumps. From his initial jump, his hood flew back, revealing his golden spikes. A darker shade of blonde than before, and a bit longer, but still retained most of its spiky nature. He darts from post to post, rooftop to rooftop as he makes way back to his apartment. He finally arrives and fumbles for his key. After a few moments, the key slides in perfectly. He turns the door knob, letting out a rusty squeak as the door swings open. He never bothered doing any advanced security system for his apartment, as he never had anything worth much. He glanced around at his small apartment. Noticed a thin layer of dust coating everything. He pulled off his heavy cloak, revealing his new outfit, still consisting of black and some orange. The elbow-lengthed sleeved shirt was mostly black in color with orange stitching, and orange rectangular patch along the top of the shoulders, down the sides and the entire back. The black strings running the length of the sides of the shirt, used to tighten the shirt to be more form-fitting, with the classic green shinobi vest on top, consisting of several pockets to hold tools and scrolls. His pants were the traditional cargo pants most shinobi wore, but of a dark gray variation. His boots were standard, but in black, along with the headband. Time to clean this place up. Naruto created several shadow clones of himself to help speed up the process. One to buy the cleaning material, to which he handed his wallet two to start dusting, one to start in the bathroom, and the other to start laundry, while he opened his window to let fresh air in. Almost immediately after opening his window, without even having a chance, a familiar face jumped up, perching himself onto the windowsill. Hey Naruto. Nice to know you are back in town. Hey Shikamaru. I just got back a few hours ago actually. Finished your missions? You've been gone for several months straight. Shikamaru questioned with a dull expression on his face. Yeah, Tsunade kept sending me more and more missions while I was doing some side work in other nations. Finished the latest one last week, and been spending the better half of last week in the Hidden Rain village. And what made you go there? A vague prophecy given to me by the great Toad Sage. Been trying to figure out what it means. Oh, and what did he say? Hold on. Naruto began removing a scroll from his vest and tossed it at Shikamaru. I'm not all that good at remember exact details as to what he said, so I wrote it down shortly afterwards so I wouldn't forget. Shikamaru unrolled the scroll and frowned upon reading it. Your penmanship is still horrible to say the least. I dare say it's so bad, we could use it as a new form of encryption so if our enemies ever got their hands on our secrets, it would be near impossible to decrypt. Shikamaru dully quipped towards his friend. Yeah, well, I don't see any reason to really focus on writing so neatly. As long as I can understand it, good enough for me. Naruto retorted quickly to his friend's remark. Yes, valid point, but it would be nice if you took your time so others can read it too. Shikamaru replied as he continued reading. Interesting prophecy. I don't know how to help you with it. If I find anything that might be useful on the side, I'll let you know. Thanks Shikamaru. Naruto replied in earnest as one of his clones came back with more cleaning supplies. Well, I'll leave you and your clones to your devices. Have fun cleaning. Shikamaru grinned. I won't. Naruto spat back playfully as his friend left. Time to get down to business. Hours passed without any complications. Naruto had to throw out some food that was past expiration and sent one of his clones out to restock his supplies. After a good thorough cleaning, he dismissed his clones and set out to find some dinner. He knew the perfect place. The only place. With a grin, he took off. The sky filled to the brim with stars. Not a cloud in view to block their magnificent light. The moon was full tonight, casting its light upon the village. A young kunoichi was walking through the streets. With the lights from the lanterns shining upon her, revealed her in the standard Konoha shinobi uniform. Hanabi, a 16-year-old girl from the prestigious clan Hyuga. One of the royal clans of the Hidden Leaf Village, or so their elders kept rambling about. She was having a normal day today, until the elders decided to talk to her. They wanted to wed her off to Konohamaru. She knew why too. She wasn't going to be the heiress to the clan, so in short, they wanted to make the most use out of her before becoming a branch member. Marry her off to the Sandaime Hokage's grandson. Sure, she saw why. He is the Three Roads' grandson. Can't get much more famous than being related to a Hokage. He wasn't bad looking either. Nonetheless, his behavior was childish. He's like a mini Naruto. Causing mischief whenever he can. He doesn't do it for the attention, but to rebel against the path others have laid down for him, much like how she is now currently rebelling against elders for trying to force her down the path laid for her. The elders made a critical mistake when they told her that she was going to marry the Sarutobi heir. They didn't ask. They didn't give her any say. They gave her no right to say no. They talked like as if it was already set in stone. They tried to force her down a path she did not choose herself. She wasn't like Hinata, so she spoke up. She rebelled. She pretty much told them to go take a dirt nap and promptly stormed out of the Hyuga compound. She knows Hinata isn't weak. She understands that Hinata, who is the heiress of their clan, did what she had to. She was quiet, she was considerate, she was thoughtful, but she was still meek. She's kind, but still timid. So the elders took advantage of that. Hinata wasn't happy, but she did what she had to do. The elders decided for Hinata, but they will not decide for me. Fist clenched and eyes narrowed, every person in the street, shinobi and civilians alike, did their best to stay clear of this natural disaster as she tore through the street like a tornado with unstoppable force, letting the wind carry her where they will. They knew this kunoichi was pissed, but they didn't know why. They knew that if they did one thing wrong, they might be on the receiving end of the Hyuga's famous 64 palm strike. Naruto grinned as he finished off another bowl. This was his haven. No one ever ridiculed him here for being the Kyuubi's container. The shop owners, Tsuki and Ayame, always welcomed Naruto with open arms. He spoke at lengths with Ayame, who was only 5 years older than him. She was beautiful. She was kind. She had a boyfriend. Naruto sighed heavily. Something wrong? Ayame asked, wondering why he seemed down. It's nothing. Well, I should get back. It was nice catching up with you, Ayame. Naruto replied with a gentle smile. He left payment on the counter, waved goodbye, and stepped out. Hands on his hips, He stretched his muscle and leaning his neck to one side. Asterisk craw crack. Oh, that felt good. Naruto tilted his head to the other side. Crack. Bump. Did something just hit me? Naruto questioned to himself as he looked down. He immediately knew who it was. What in the hell did I just walk into? A wall of steel. Hanabi fell flat on her from walking into what seemed to be an immovable object. She instantly glanced up, glaring to whoever was in front of her. Him, the single person who rivals the strength of the 5 great shinobi nations. The demon container of Konoha. Naruto Uzumaki. No wonder I fell flat on my. Hot damn, that glare is potent. Probably scare half the other ninjas of this village shitless. Did I piss her off or something? Naruto wondered to himself, but stopped from going any farther since it wasn't any of his business. He reached out his hand. What is he doing with his hand? Is offering to help me up. Hanabi thought to herself as she took his hand. Naruto swiftly brought Hanabi to her feet. Sorry about that, Hanabi Hyuga, didn't see you walking this way. Hanabi pulled her hand from his and proceeded to brush the dirt of her pants. It's fine. I'm the one who bumped into you anyways. Hanabi sighed angrily. Now I'm intrigued. Going against his earlier judgment, he decided to ask. What gives, Hanabi Hyuga? You seemed pretty upset about something. Clan elders pissed me off, that's all. I was just heading to the training grounds to blow off some steam when I bumped into you. Training is a good way to relieve stress. Naruto replied back with a smile. An idea popped into the young Hyuga's head. You said you were sorry, right? Naruto looked back at the kunoichi before him. Yes, Naruto replied somewhat hesitantly. What is that look in her eyes? Did you mean that? Hanabi asked swiftly. Worth asking. It will help me blow off steam faster if I have someone to help. Yes, Naruto replied hesitantly again. If you can do just one thing for me, I will accept your apology. Hanabi stated. He isn't going to agree, I just know it. Depends on what it is. Fight me, Naruto Uzumaki. Hanabi demanded boldly. What is wrong with me? Naruto closed his eyes, and looked like he was contemplating the meaning of life and everything in the universe. What is wrong with her? Ha 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 ha. I like this girl. She has guts to challenge the strongest. Hush you furball. I don't want to hear that coming from you. Agree. What? You heard me. Agree. It will be entertaining to see her reaction. Quote. Do it. Single quote. You're sadistic. Several moments passed by in silence. With a huge grin on his face, he gave her an answer. Sure. So are you. Oh shit. He did agree. What did I get myself into? This is to help you relieve your frustration, correct? Naruto asked as they both walked out to the field of one of the training grounds. Yes. I figure I could get rid of this stress faster by fighting someone, rather than throwing kunai against targets for practice, so thank you for agreeing. Any particular reason you ask me? Well, you happened to be there when I had the idea, and if it's you, I don't have to worry about a thing and go all out. Hanabi proudly stated as she dropped into her gentle fist stance and activated her Byakugan. Impulsive. Naruto thought to himself. That's fine. I'll meet you on with taijutsu alone then. That's of you. I know you're powerful, but. Naruto took a single step. Next thing Hanabi know, Naruto was already within arm's reach, ready to strike. I can back it up. Naruto replied calmly to the young kunoichi as he thrusted an open palm towards her stomach. Shit dodge. Hanabi quickly rotated her body, spinning her body around the arm. I can still hit while spinning. Aim for the arms. Hanabi thought calculatively as she dodged his attack. Her arms extended and she applied small chakra to her fingertips. She reached out, but as her fingertips touched his arm, he completely disappeared. Behind. She reacted by swinging her hands to his new location. Again, right before touching him, he vanished for an instant before appearing again in her near 360-degree view. What is going on? He shouldn't be disappearing from my sight when I can see all around me. I should be able to keep up with his speed. Hanabi dropped into a more defensive stance. Maybe he's just moving that fast where I can't keep up. That would be insane. Naruto Uzumaki. You said you wouldn't use chakra. I didn't use chakra. Don't lie. There is no way you can move that fast without applying chakra to your legs. Naruto smirked. If you don't believe me, keep a careful eye on me, Hanabi Hyuga. She knew what was going to happen next. Time started to slow down for her as Naruto stepped forward once again. Only thing different this time was she was paying more attention to his chakra paths. Not once did she see chakra flare in his legs as he rushed towards him. I can see him now, but I can't counter or dodge in time. Shit. Block. Hanabi raised her hands up as fast as possible to meet the oncoming punch. She felt it strike, but with less power than she thought. TCH. Hanabi clicked her tongue as she flew back 20 feet before skidding to a stop. He's taking this lightly. Damn it. How can I win? Hanabi thought for a moment before coming to a decision. I sure as hell can't win if I'm on the defense, so I will go on the offensive. Hanabi planted her feet firmly against the ground and poured chakra into her legs. She bolted off as fast as she could towards Naruto. I can't afford to hold back if I want to win. Just as she was within striking range, she applied chakra to her fingertips once again, attempting to turn off several of his tenketsu. She aimed for his arm, but he moved. She spun and aimed for his sides, he took a back step. She aimed for his shoulder, he turned sideways, easily dodging her thrusts. Hanabi poured more chakra into her arms to improve her speed. She attacked again, giving no pause. She would strike, he would dodge. It repeated over and over for a solid 5 minutes. Hanabi's arms swinging at blinding speeds and spinning her body to position herself for the next strike. Always attack, but never landing hits. Damn it. How can he just dodge so effortlessly? He waits until the last possible moment, right when I think I might land one, and moves just out of reach. He's starting to piss me off. Naruto was standing just outside of her reach, scratching his face, waiting for her next move. All I've seen her use is her clan's attack. She has potential, but she's being held back by not broadening her horizon and using different moves and techniques. You said you won't use chakra, correct? We just talked about this, Hanabi, weren't you listening? So if I can get you to use chakra, even a little, I win. I guess that would be a bit more fair for her. She's been trying really hard, and I can always take another handicap. Naruto smirked. Yes. You will win. I'll even give you a free attack right now. Naruto pounded on his chest. Hit me with your best shot. Without any pause, she moved in as fast as possible. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. 2 palms. She tapped the guy twice, setting off the famous combo attack of the Hyuga clan. 4 palms. Quickly afterwards, Hanabi spun circularly and tapped him twice again. 8 palms. Hanabi spun a full 360, striking Naruto in 4 different spots this time. 16 palms. Hanabi jabbed 8 times now, continuing the combo to 16 hits. 32 palms. Hanabi cried out in her mind, keeping track of how many times she hit him so far. Hanabi arms whipped around, striking chakra points throughout his body. Hanabi finally placed her right palm on his stomach and blasted him with all the chakra she could muster at once. 64 palms. Hanabi called out as Naruto skidding back 10 feet. Naruto stood there blankly. Good. Almost as good as Neji's when he was in his prime. Naruto smiled gently as he was reminded of one of his dearly missed friends. If he was around, he could push her to even higher heights. Hanabi saw the happiest, yet saddest smile on Naruto's face. She never knew someone could make such an expression. Na Naruto Uzumaki, are you okay? Naruto chuckled before responding. Yeah, I'm okay. He knew she wasn't asking if he was okay from her attack. You reminded me of Neji there. Naruto looked right as Hanabi. Were you there for our Chunin exam 9 years ago? When we fought each other specifically? Yes, I was. You knew he used the same move against me, right? Yes, but I never used my Byakugan to verify if it turned off your chakra. I just assumed it did. Do you remember what happened afterwards? Hanabi's expression changed greatly. She remembered that after Neji hit Naruto with the same attack, he was able to still use chakra. She didn't know how he did that but now, damn it. How could I forget? I mean, it was 9 years ago, but how could I forget something so critical? Naruto smirked as he knew that she realized that what she just did was utterly useless. When it comes to us Jinchuriki, we are the bane of your clan's attacks. For we have not just one, but two sources of chakra. We can use the chakra of the tailed beasts within us even if you turn off our chakra points. He grinned as he mustered up just an ounce of the Kyuubi's chakra to forcefully open his chakra points again. Hanabi took a half step back in reaction to the sinister chakra that was pouring out of Naruto. She saw it spread through his body, opening all the paths again with ease. Now that I've seen it, I can see how Neji lost to him. Suddenly, Hanabi's face light up and her lips curled into a grin. I win, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto froze in place. What does she mean she won? Doesn't sound like a bluff, so why is she saying she won? As if she was reading his mind, she gave him the answer to his question. You used chakra. Specifically, your demon's chakra. Hey, that doesn't count. I didn't. Yes, you did. You used the chakra to unlock your chakra points. Demon chakra are your chakra. Chakra is chakra and you used it. Hanabi proclaimed proudly. Ha 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 ha. Beaten by a little girl. How the mighty has fallen. Shut up, furball. Naruto promptly sat on the ground fuming to himself. How did I fall for that? Damn it. Why did I do something so stupid? I even said I wouldn't use chakra. Fine, fine. You win. Naruto sighed heavily as he was disappointed that he lost in such silly way. Feel better now? Hanabi beamed. Yes. Thank you helping me relieving me of my frustrations. Naruto decided he has pouted enough and stood up, brushing the dirt from his clothes. Ask for help and you shall find it. Naruto, Hanabi called out his name softly. As the winner, do I get a prize? Naruto closed his eyes and sighed heavily as he shook his head to the side in pure disbelief. Sure. One thing and only one thing. Hanabi was shocked. She didn't really expect him to give her anything, since she was the one who asked him to fight her. She mulled over what she could ask him, and while several ideas flashed before and all seemed tempting to use, she ultimately decided to use the best one. Naruto Uzumaki. Hanabi called out his name. Catching his attention, he looked up in response to his name being called so firmly. Please, teach me how to be stronger, like you. He saw the determination in her eyes. The same determination he had, so he knew not to make light of it. I am a Jonin, so I should take at least one disciple. I have to get permission first. I will only teach you if you are my disciple. Understood. Hanabi nodded firmly. I'll have to ask for permission. You'll have your answer tomorrow. The light in Hanabi's eyes shined brightly. She was going to be taught by the strongest of the village. Naruto saw her delightful expression, but he knew it wouldn't be so easy for him to get a disciple. Tsunade would be against it, he could persuade her. The village elders on the other hand, he didn't even want to think about them. He also knew the Hyuga clan would have a field day with this. They would either see this as a great opportunity to bolster their strength, or be completely against it because of what he was. He wouldn't know which path they will take since he never talked at lengths with the clan's elders or their head, Hiashi Hyuga. Either way, he would do his best because it was the right thing to do. A promise is a promise, and he will keep to it as best as he can. It's the least he could do. Alright, that's enough for the night. Go ahead and head home. I'll find you tomorrow and tell you whether I have permission or not. Hanabi bowed and said thanks before taking off towards her compound. Watching her figure retreat into the distance, Naruto sighed heavily again. What did I just get myself into? Naruto saw her delightful expression, but he knew it wouldn't be so easy for him to get a disciple. Tsunade would be against it, he could persuade her. The village elders, on the other hand, he didn't even want to think about them. He also knew the Hyuga clan would have a field day with this. They would either see this as a great opportunity to bolster their strength, or be completely against it because of what he was. He wouldn't know which path they will take since he never talked at lengths with the clan's elders or their head, Hiashi Hyuga. Either way, he would do his best because it was the right thing to do. A promise is a promise, and he will keep to it as best as he can. It's the least he could do. Alright, that's enough for the night. Go ahead and head home. I'll find you tomorrow and tell you whether I have permission or not. Hanabi bowed and said thanks before taking off towards her compound. Watching her figure retreat into the distance, Naruto sighed heavily again. What did I just get myself into? Chapter 3. Compromise. Open corner bracket 31st of March. Naruto shifted around in his bed as the rays of the sun shined upon his face. Why does the window have to be right here, so warm? Don't want to wake up, Naruto thought to himself as he pulled the sheets above his head even more. Knock knock. Knock knock. Go away, Naruto replied drearily. Knock knock. They won't go away, will they? Naruto groaned as he sat up. Yes, one moment please. Naruto called out groggily as he shuffled his way to the door and opens it. Yee. Naruto let out a yawn mid-sentence. Yes. Naruto yawned once again. What do you want? Naruto replied with his eyes firmly shut. Morning, Naruto. You might want to put pants on before answering the door. Shikamaru replied with a deadpan voice. Oh. Naruto swiftly shut the door, and all Shikamaru could hear is a different varieties of sounds before the door opened again. Got pants. You forgot the shirt. Naruto clicked his tongue, closed the door, and made several different sounds again. And boots. Don't forget boots. Shikamaru called out in time, which led to even more mysterious sounds echoing beyond the door. Okay. Why you wake me up so early? Naruto questioned his friend as the door opens up once again. It's 11 in the morning, Naruto. It's not early. Naruto glanced at the clock, glanced outside, glanced at the clock again, did a double take and swore under his breath. I gotta talk to Grandma. Well, that works out. She wants to talk to you. Oh, you know why? No, I don't, but she's pissed. Alright, thank you, Shikamaru. Also, may I talk to you later? Sure. I'm certain you can find me when you need to. Thanks, Shikamaru. Naruto called out happily as the shinobi left. Now I need to go see Tsunade. Naruto said out loud, speaking to no one in particular. Naruto slowly ascended the spiraling stairs in the Hokage Tower before coming to a massive pair of wooden doors. He rapped his fists against the wooden doors, announcing his presence. Come in. Naruto heard from the other side. He slowly pushed the doors open and walked in slowly. You wanted to see me, Hokage? Yes. I heard a disturbing rumor about last night. Something along the lines of you fighting a 16-year-old Hyuga girl. Tsunade voiced aloud as she brought her fist down, slamming upon the desk, sending all the papers that were stacked high flying across the room. I had a good reason for that, Hokage. Naruto stuttered. Oh, so this rumor is true? Tsunade questioned as a vein bulged on her forehead. She was frustrated about something, and she asked if she could fight to relieve the tension. I saw no harm. Oh, so she asked you to fight her? Yes. So you weren't the one going around picking fights? No. Damn it. Sorry, Naruto. I'll have to talk to a few people later. Tsunade remarked with venom dripping from her words. Tsunade, Naruto spoke, not sure if he should continue or not. Yes. Speaking of the Hyuga girl, Hanabi Hyuga, she wanted to know if I could train her, so. And you want to train her? Yes. Why? Well, I want to pass down my. No, not why you want to train someone, but why do you want to train her, specifically? Because she asked. Naruto replied like as if it was common sense. Simply because she asked. The female Hokage asked with a piercing gaze. Because she had the guts to challenge me, fight me, and then ask me. Why wouldn't I train someone like that? Tsunade sat there for a few moments. Are you not happy with Konohamaru? Konohamaru isn't my student. He isn't my disciple. He is my rival. I can't teach him everything I know. Tsunade sat there in silence for a few moments. You know, when it comes to things about you, I have to talk to the Council of Elders. I know. Naruto sighed heavily. Knowing this, you still want to try. Yes. I can't turn away someone who comes to me for help. It wouldn't be the right thing to do. The right thing to do is it. I like that. I will talk to them. You have my approval on 2 conditions. What would those 2 conditions be, Tsunade? First, if something comes up, and we need you, you are to drop everything. Regardless as to what may be happening. I understand that I'm a valuable asset to this village. Second, don't do anything dangerous without consulting me. I can't tell you how to be a teacher, but I can suggest what should be done, and how it needs to be done properly. Roger. Just please remember Naruto. She isn't like you. She doesn't have the same amount of chakra, stamina, or regenerating capabilities you have, so don't go crazy with the training. Understood, Hokage. Naruto replied respectfully with a bow. Any other questions, Naruto? 2. Naruto plainly stated in response to the simple question. What are they? When do you think you can give me an answer if I can train her or not? Maybe today, maybe next week. I have to have permission from the Hyuga head, Hiashi Hyuga, which Hanabi Hyuga should be able to help me persuade him. The elders, we will probably come to blows, but I think I can win them over. Thought I can't tell how long that will be, honestly. Naruto sighed heavily. Afraid as much. Worst case, next week, and the answer is no. Hanabi might not like this. I hope she will try to understand. It's only a week, but I have my faith in Tsunade. For my other question, am I able to start renovating the compound? With all the missions I've been doing for the past 4 years, I think I've saved up more than enough to spruce up the place. I don't see any problems with it, but again, I have to talk to the elders. It is the home of the 4th Hokage, but you as the heir, they shouldn't be able to say no. Just keep me informed as to what you are going to do with the place once you get the green light. Thank you, Tsunade. Do you have anything for me? Tsunade thought for a moment. You know what? That might be more effective. Tsunade grinned as she looked at Naruto. Make yourself available for dinner tonight. I'll try to get the important people together and we can discuss it as a group tonight over dinner. It will probably be most effective that way. You have any restaurant in place? How about the Konohamaru? Tsunade grinned. Good choice. I'll invite the Hyugas and you will get the elders. That's the plan. You need to start learning customs and traditions if you want to take my place. Can't have the Hokage being a complete slob, now can we, Naruto? Maybe the little Hyuga will be able to help you with that. Naruto hanged his head. I don't want to, but I guess it's something I must learn. If that is all, I will be off. Tsunade nodded, signaling that he was free. Naruto bowed polite and stepped out the room. I guess I should make some clones and study up on proper etiquette. Naruto thought to himself as he made 20 shadow clones. Head to the library. You know what you need to look for. Naruto waved his arm and the 20 clones vanished without a trace. Going to be an odd sight in the library again. Naruto chuckled as he walked off towards the general direction of the Hyuga compound. Naruto walked up to the gate guards of the Hyuga compound. Is there anything I can help you with today, Sage Naruto? One of the Hyuga guards asked politely. May I seek an audience with Lord Hyuga Hiashi? I'll ask. Please wait here for a moment, Sage Naruto. One of the guards requested as he ran off towards the inner compound. Naruto shifted his attention from retreating figure of the guard to the one still stationed at his post. So, what's up? How is your day going? The guard was shocked that the sage would just drop all formalities and talked like a regular person. It's going well, Sage Naruto. Oh, nice weather today, isn't it? It most certainly is, Sage Naruto. Ah, don't be so nervous, man. I'm just making idle chat to pass the time. You have any questions you want to ask? If I may, Sage Naruto. May I get an autograph? It's for my little niece. She really looks up to you as a role model. Ah, certainly. Naruto accepted a piece of paper from the guard and scribbled his signature and a little message to his fan. I'm happy to know I have a little fan. This will be my first autograph. Really? Yeah, be sure to tell her to treasure it. Naruto beamed as he saw the other guard running back. Lord Hyuga said that you may speak to him when you are ready. Will you please lead the way? Certainly, Sage Naruto. Right this way. Naruto swiftly followed behind the guard who lead him down a series of hallways and turns before coming to a door. Naruto bowed and thanked the guard for guiding him and knocked on the door. Who is it? Okay. Game time. Remember, be respectful. Be calm. Be understanding. I can't talk to Hiashi like my friends. Naruto took a deep breath. It is I, Naruto Uzumaki. I wish to speak to you, Lord Hiashi. Come on in. Naruto gently slid open the door. Hiashi motioned for Naruto to take a seat. So what do I owe the pleasure of having you over, Sage Naruto? I wish to invite both you and your youngest daughter, Hanabi Hyuga, to dinner at the Konoha with the Hokage, the elders, and myself. Oh, the Konoha. Hiashi raised his eyebrow in response to this invitation. What is this invitation in response to? This is for me to properly request permission to train your daughter, Hanabi Hyuga. And what made you decide to train my youngest daughter? Hiashi peered at Naruto with a quizzing glance. Simply because she asked for me to teach her last night, Lord Hiashi. Last night? What was Hanabi doing with you last night? She bumped into me after I was eating and she asked for a friendly sparring match, to test her skills against mine to see how much more she must train to become stronger. Naruto stated, only giving the half-truth. He knew Hiashi wouldn't be pleased if he knew the other half. Oh, and what does Sage Naruto thinks of her level of skill? I do not know much about the Gentle Fist nor the Byakugan, but I do see potential in her. She requested for me to accept her as my disciple and I see no reason to deny her personally. If I do give permission, I do have some worries. What worries would that be? You teaching her would hinder her ability to perform the Gentle Fist arts at their peak. We are a very proud and noble clan based off of tradition. I do understand what you could bring to the table, but I also worry about what you would be taking off the table as well. I understand your worries. The Gentle Fist is an amazing fighting style, but, and I do mean no offense, Lord Hiashi, it is not applicable to all situations. If given permission, I would train her to boost her skills in the Gentle Fist as I know, and to help cover areas she is weak to. I understand. We will talk more at dinner tonight, Sage Naruto. Naruto rose to his feet and bowed. Thank you, Lord Hiashi, for considering. I will see you tonight at 6 p.m. Naruto stepped out, breathed deeply and led his way out of the compound. Damn, that's nerve-wracking. So tense in there. I don't think I'm cut out for this. Naruto made reservations at the Konoha. He knew he wouldn't have a problem securing a table, due to his status, but when he said a clan head, the Hokage and the elders were to accompany him, he knew he easily secured the best table in the place. He checked the time. Only 1 p.m. Not bad. Plenty of time. I guess I should find Shikamaru now. Naruto jumped on top of the buildings and then on top of a post. He sat there and meditated for a moment, feeling the environment around him, gathering in the natural energy. He quickly entered into his sage state and pushed outward, scanning the village in its entirety. He searched until he found Shikamaru's chakra signature. Got ya. Figured you would be there with the kids. With a grin, Naruto stood up and made his way to his friend's location. Dashing halfway across the village, Naruto ended up at the Ninja Academy. Man, this brings back some memories. Naruto whistled out loud. He walked around the schoolhouse. They seem to be on break right now. Naruto thought to himself as he peered around the corner. He spotted Iruka and Shikamaru talking to each other. Naruto lightly rapped against the door to announce his presence. Hey Iruka-sensei, how have you been? Naruto asked as he waved. I've been good Naruto. Glad to see you're back. Find anything good while seeing the world and doing missions? Ran into a few tricky spots, but overall good. I haven't really found anything noteworthy during my travels. I did get to meet a lot of people, so that was good. So what brings you here? Oh, I was searching for Shikamaru. Wanted to talk to him a bit. Ah, I see. Well, we're already done talking. Thank you Iruka-sensei. I'll catch up with you later. Naruto motioned for Shikamaru to follow him out the door after he waved goodbye to Iruka, which Shikamaru followed. So what did you want to talk about Naruto? I was just curious as to how my investments was doing. Going good. Thanks to you, the Konohamae opened up a few months back, though no one knows it's you. Also I distributed your earnings where I think they would help. That's good to know. All this stuff is above my head. Thank you for helping with this. I needed to make a bit more money than what I got from missions to fix up this compound. Are you ever going to fill me in on the details yet? I know you want to buy and fix up a compound, but you never told me which one. Sorry Shikamaru. I would tell you if I could, but Tsunade made me swear not to tell anyone yet. I plan on talking to her and the elders tonight though. Oh, what is going on tonight that you actually get to talk to both the Hokage and the elders? I want to take up a disciple. Oh god, I can just imagine it already. Another Naruto running around, leveling mountains, Shikamaru replied as he mumbled under his breath about how it's going to be a major headache. Hey, that was once. Naruto proclaimed loudly. Once. Okay, more than once. Still, don't you have Konohamaru? Why does everyone think that? I do teach him, but I can't teach him everything. He's my rival. I see. Well, I'll keep watch over your investment, as long as the deal is still good. I'll deposit the earnings every month. Thank you Shikamaru. You are a real life saver. I have to go get ready now. Bye. Naruto bellowed out happily as ran off. Shikamaru waved happily as he saw his friend run off. I feel bad for this village already. Naruto, a teacher. Oh god, I wonder who is the unlucky victim. Meh, I'll find out in time. Several hours passed and Naruto jumped out the shower. I have to find something appropriate to wear. The Konohamae is a really nice restaurant. I'm sure they have a minimal dress code. Also, with who I'm dining with, I have to look sharp. Why does all this stuff have to be such a pain in the... Naruto sighed heavily as he looked through his closet. I know I have a suit in here. I remember my clones getting it cleaned. Oh, clones. I should dismiss them. Naruto formed a sign and dismissed all the clones, gaining all the knowledge they've collect on dining etiquette. Oh man, that's a lot of stuff to remember. Damn it. I didn't think it would be that complicated. Oh well, I'll wing it and try to be as formal as I can. Naruto finally found his standard black suit and white dress shirt. He started dressing up and trying to locate his dress shoes. Find the box. He opened it and was happy to see they were still polished from last time. One less thing to worry about. Naruto, fully dressed, headed outside. Time to go. Naruto showed up at the entrance of the Konohamae. The hostess recognized him from earlier and had a waiter show him to one of the alcoves built into the wall. It was fairly spacious and had a decently sized round table, more than enough room for all 6 people to sit. The waitress showed him the different spots of color-coded tags in the room, what they did, and how to activate them. Is there anything else I can do for you, Sage Naruto? I'll just have a glass of water until the rest of the party arrives. Certainly. It will be on its way. Thank you very much. Naruto beamed at the waitress as she left. 30 minutes early. I'll just run through the menu and decide what I want in the meantime. As he looked through the menu, it had a bunch of weird names for their dishes. Shit. I forgot fancy places does this on their menu. I don't know any of these words. Ah, here is your water. The young waitress gently placed a cup of ice water on a coaster in front of Naruto. Thank you very much. Naruto simply responded before going back to the menu. At least they have descriptions. Let's see. Something about chicken. Something about beef. Sirloin. Tuna. Yellowtail. Lobster. Crab. Tofu. Miso soup. I don't see anything about ramen. Cough. Naruto tilted his head up and noticed Hiyashi Hyuga in a black suit and tie, much like his own, and Hanabi Hyuga in a simple white dress that clinged to her body in the right places. Can't deny she's beautiful. Naruto swiftly stood up, placed his left hand across his waist, bowed, and motioned with his right hand. Please, be seated Hiyashi Hyuga and Hanabi Hyuga. Hiyashi smirked lightly as Naruto's gesture. Quite odd seeing him act so proper. There may just be hope when he becomes Hokage. Hanabi paced her way around the table and sat to Naruto's right, with Hiyashi sitting to her right. Thank you both for coming. The Hokage and the elders should be arriving shortly. Do you know where they are? Hiyashi questioned. Naruto glanced at Hiyashi before closing his eyes, keeping still. A moment later, his orange sage marks begun appearing around his eyes. They are roughly a minute away. So you can sense where everyone is in sage mode. Yes, I can feel everything. Not just living people, but the wildlife, the bugs, even the land. I can feel every crack and crevice when I'm in this mode. Wow, Hanabi chimed in. Sounds a lot to take in. It's part of being a sage. You become one with the environment around you. You talking about sage mode, Naruto? Tsunade asked as she only heard the end of the conversation. Naruto quickly stood up and bowed. Welcome Hokage, Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Utatna. And yes, I was describing the feeling I receive when entering my sage state. Naruto remarked as he discharged the nature energy from him, exiting out of the sage mode. Tsunade made her way around the room and sat to the left of Naruto. The elders quickly followed and sat next to the Hokage. Without even missing a beat, the waitress walked in, asking what everyone wanted to drink. All 6 ordered for water. The waitress, after jotting down the simple order, promptly left. Alright, Naruto being the first to start off the conversation. I want to thank each and all of you for showing up tonight with such short notice. I gathered all members here today to talk about the first of 2 topics. 2 topics. Hiyashi chimed in. Yes. The first topic will involve the Hyuga clan. The other topic I wish to discuss with the Hokage and the elders, which you are more than welcome to stay if you wish. I am, by no means, going to ask you to leave, as I have no issues letting others know. The elders glanced at each other with a mysterious expression before looking back at Naruto. Well, before we delve any further into this discussion, how about we take a look at the menu and decide what we will eat? Naruto suggested as he opened his own menu. Is this really the knucklehead ninja I know? He seems to be taking this seriously. I would have expected him to get straight to the point without any hesitation and try to wrap this up as soon as possible. Tsunade thought to herself as she peered through the menu. I guess he really has matured even more over the past 4 years since the conclusion of the Fourth Shinobi World War. A little sad to see the kid grow up. Several minutes passed by and the waitress walked into the room with multiple glasses of water on a tray. Has everyone decided what to order? Receiving a resounding yes, she started going from left to right. The female elder, Kaharu Utatane, ordered yellowtail rolls. Homura Mitokado ordered the hamachi teriyaki with yuzu kosho. Both elders wanted green tea with their food. Tsunade asked for chirashi sushi with the best sake in the house. She glanced at Naruto and he knew exactly what that meant. Oh man, don't tell me, it's going to be a horrible night. Naruto shifted a little in his seat before ordering the miso soup with mussels. Hanabi ordered the miso glazed black cod with sautéed broccoli. Hiyashi ordered tofu with crab sauce. Both Hyuga ordered wine. The waitress quickly wrote all the orders down, turned on her heel and walked out the room. Alright, now that's we've ordered our dinner, may we begin? Naruto glanced around the room, waiting on nods from the other 5 people. Naruto placed his hand on a green paper seal behind him and poured a small amount of chakra into it, activating the seal's jutsu. What is that for? It's a seal that creates a sound barrier so no one can overhear us. The hostess was thoughtful enough to give us a room with these tags in them. Naruto briefly explained before changing topics. Okay. First and foremost, I thank you all for showing up. I wish to properly request permission to train Hanabi Hyuga. And why would you want to train this Hyuga child? Koharu asked as she stared at Naruto. Because she asked me to and I have no reason to turn her down. And pray tell, Homura spoke up. What led to this young Hyuga girl to seek out you to be her teacher? May I answer this question? Hanabi asked, politely interrupting. After receiving a nod from Homura, she continued. It would be because after fighting him last night, I learned that I can truly learn a lot and improve myself if I was under his tutelage. Not only his strength, but his tactics showed me that he isn't just insanely strong, even while holding himself back, but very smart. The elders glanced between each other before turning back to Naruto. Sorry, but you won't have our backing. You are a great asset to the village. What will you do if we need you to do something immediate and you are in the middle of training? As I told the Hokage, I would drop everything if the village needs me to a mission. Elders glanced between each other aside heavily. We didn't want to bring this up, but apparently you don't realize the position you are in Naruto Uzumaki. What will happen if your seal weakens again? Do you want to expose this Hyuga girl to that danger? This is why we send you on missions by yourself. If the seal weakens or breaks, no one in this village can hold you down or mend the seal. It won't happen, Naruto mentioned offhandedly as if it was a simple fact. And how can you be so sure? The 4th Hokage placed that seal on you and it broke once before. Because even if the seal weakens, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Fool, you forget that there is a monstrous demon inside of you. Mitokado raised his voice, completely appalled that the man before him didn't seem to understand the gravity of the situation. No, Elder Mitokado. Naruto's gaze darkens as he sent a spiteful glare towards the elder. After 21 years, I have not forgotten that there is a demon sealed away inside of me since I was born. Kurama poses no threat anymore. No threat. That demon nearly destroyed the entire village in a single attack. That was because Kurama was under control of Madara Uchiha that night. Wait, Naruto, this Kurama, is that? Hanabi asked with curiosity glistening in her eyes. Yes, Hanabi, Hiyashi answered Hanabi's unspoken question. Kurama is the name of the 9-tailed demon fox sealed inside of him. I didn't know that it had a name. Hanabi replied in awe. Most people don't. Kurama, Naruto responded, is just like us. The demons has feelings. Naruto turned his gaze to the elders. They don't like being a weapon of war. If attacked by us, they will strike back. If used by us, they will turn on us. Some older people thought we needed to use them, rather than understand them. Naruto remarked with venom dripping from his words. That is why the demons don't like us ninjas. Because we only view them as monsters or weapons. No one has tried getting to know them. No one has tried to be their friend. All the Leaf Village has done was used people from my clan as containers to house the demon. Naruto. That's going too far. Tsunade raised her hand to quell the anger inside of him. The Uzumaki were great friends of the Senju, my clan. I understand your fury, but that is neither here nor there, so let's leave that topic for another time. As for you elders, Tsunade turned her head towards Homura and Koharu. Don't forget you don't have the final say on this matter, I do. Do you really think Naruto doesn't have control over the Kyuubi? You do know how he used it in the fight against Madara at the end of the war. Do you still not trust him because you only view him as container? It's not that I don't trust him, or that I only view him as a container, it's just that I worry for the worst possibility. If, for some reason, another organization like the Akatsuki came about and started stealing demons again, it would be devastating. I'm just worried for what might happen. The male elder replied solemnly. He was truly afraid to how close the Akatsuki, or Madara specifically, came close to destroying the world. Before we go any further, what do you think about Hanabi seeking Naruto as a teacher? I must admit, I am afraid. Afraid he will teach her a technique to level a mountain. Hiyashi lightly chuckled at his own joke. But in all seriousness, I am worried that under her tutelage, she would lose her current proficiency with our taijutsu, the gentle fist. Even so, I cannot rightfully deny the sage. I will trust him with Hanabi's training, as long as I get to check in every once in a while and offer advice. That is fine with me, Lord Hiyashi. It would be most appreciated since I do not fully understand the Byakugan nor the gentle fist taijutsu. Thank you for giving me a chance at having a student. All in favor of Naruto Uzumaki teaching Hanabi Hyuga. Tsunade was the first to raise her hand, followed by both Hyuga members and Naruto. Alright, it looks like Naruto has a student. Tsunade grinned happily as she lowered her hand. The waitress came in just as they reached a conclusion, her hands and arms carrying plates of food. She distributed the food and drinks out and quickly left the room. Naruto picked up his utensils and motioned for everyone to begin eating. He glanced at Hanabi, who was staring at him, smiling. Naruto closed his eyes and gave his biggest grin, giving a thumbs up. He turned to his miso soup. It smelt heavenly to him. Let's hope it tastes as good as it smells. Moments passed by and everyone finished their meal. I guess it's now time to move to the second topic. Tsunade. Naruto turned his entire body and faced towards the Hokage. I think it's time I finally receive what is entitled to me. You mean the compound owned by your mother and father? Naruto, you do know why we haven't given it to you, correct? Koharu chimed in. It was because of the third Hokage, correct? Yes. He decreed that after you were sealed with the Kyuubi, that all information regarding you were to be kept a secret, including you being a Jinchuriki. Well, the whole village already knows what I am. I think it's time for the village to know who I am. What do you mean, Naruto? Hanabi asked, with a confused look on her face. Hanabi, we can't tell you until the decree has been lifted. Hiyashi Hyuga warned. Can't the Hokage just lift it? Hanabi asked. Not this decree. This was made by both the third Hokage and the elders. Hanabi's father answered his daughter's question. With the third Hokage being dead, between the current Hokage and the two elders, 2 of 3 must agree. While Lady Tsunade had the right to decide if Naruto should teach you or not, she still sought the advice of the elders. Which means, when it comes to me, the elders is always informed. Naruto chimed in, further supplementing his explanation. That is one of the restrictions placed on me upon becoming a Jinchuriki for the village. While the matter of me being your teacher is important, it is trifling compared to this discussion. So please wait, and I'll answer all of your questions at the end to the best of my ability. Naruto cleared his throat. My point is that with the whole village knowing what I am, shouldn't it be time the village know what truly happened 21 years ago? The elders sighed heavily. You do understand why we had the decree made, correct? It was to make sure to give you as close to a normal childhood as we could. Naruto scoffed loudly. Please, understand. Udatain pleaded. We know your childhood was by no means paradise, but if it wasn't for that, you probably wouldn't even be here. The village didn't care whose lineage you came from. All they saw was a monster in disguise. We could not keep that generation from hating you, but we did our best to keep the next generation, your generation, as normal as we can so that you may make some friends. Sadly, we didn't think the parents of your generation should try to pass down their hatred to their kids. By the time we found it, it was already too late. They made their children come to scorn you for unjust reason, and we couldn't undo that. For that, we failed your parents. I do have to agree with Naruto Uzumaki. Udatain remarked. Everyone knows what he is. The point of the Three Roads Creed was to prevent that from happening. Since the village already knows, I don't see any harm regarding the village members who didn't know before who his parents are. My question for you, Naruto, is this. Whose name will you take? I don't know yet. That is something I need more time to think about. When you decide, we will tell the village then. You can tell those who you want. Some of them probably already know, but we will still inform the village as a whole when you decided on your family's name. Thank you, Elder Udatane. As for you having your compound, you can move in when you want. Just be discreet until the whole village knows about you. I will. Thank you again. If that is all for this discussion, we will take our leave for the night. Both elders stood up, but Naruto quickly raised his hands. By the way, as the host, let me take care of the payment. It's the least I can do to say thank you for fulfilling my selfish requests. Both the elders glanced at Naruto and smiled. You are welcome. It's the least we can do for you. Udatane and Mitokado. Thank you for everything. No problem, child. As long as you understand why we did what we did, that is good enough. And we are sorry. We only wish we could do more for you. With that, the elders walked out. Tsunade turned and patted Naruto on the back. Congratulations, kid. Tsunade thrusted a cup into Naruto's hand, filled it up and raised her. A toast. Oh shit. Naruto sighed heavily. He knew this wasn't going to be good. He raised his cup with Tsunade and drank the sake with her. 30 minutes passed since Tsunade first began drinking with Naruto. They've gone through to full bottles and desserts just arrived. Hiashi was impressed with Naruto's ability to hold his liquor. He experienced first him as to how Tsunade could drink, and how no one could beat her in a drinking contest, but for Naruto to hold his own, was impressive. Sheesh, Naruto. I thought you told me you almost never drink. Tsunade complained as she emptied the last of the second sake bottle. I don't. Using your restorative powers to get the advantage, huh? Just like you using your healing chakra. Naruto called out, revealing her secret. Damn, you caught me. Tsunade finished off the cup and stood up. I guess we should call it quits. Mind walking me back, Hiashi? Give Naruto and his students some time alone. Hiashi stared at Tsunade for a moment and knew he wasn't given a choice. He hanged his head and stood up. He looked at the blonde spiked shinobi. Please do return her at a respectable time, Sage Naruto. Will do, Lord Hyuga. With that, Naruto watched as Tsunade and Hiashi walked out the restaurant. Naruto glanced over and noticed Hanabi eating a dish that looked particularly sweet. Hanabi, what is that? Never had it before. It's called a yuzu creme brulee. A what? Just try it, Hanabi suggested as she shifted her little bowl over. Naruto used one of his own spoons to dig into the bowl and take a spoonful of the dessert. Not much of a sweets guy, but the citrus taste is nice. Naruto thought to himself as he swallowed the creme brulee. Not bad. Naruto glanced back and Hanabi was already finishing it off. Damn, I think she has a craving for sweet things. Naruto stood up and offered his hand to Hanabi. Are you ready to get out of here? Hanabi nodded and took his hand, helping herself to her feet. She trailed behind Naruto as he paid for everyone's meal up front. She swore she saw him sweat a little bit, and even sighed heavily, but she didn't worry too much about it. She was happy she was able to have a creme brulee again. Can't remember I had something so sweet. And the citrus taste makes it even better. Naruto and Hanabi stepped outside, immediately catching everyone's attention, though they tried to hide it as best they could. Hey Naruto, I got a few questions to ask you. A sudden cold burst of wind blew through the street, sweeping past Naruto and Hanabi. Being in a simple white dress with no sleeves, the wind sent shivers up her shoulders and spine as her teeth chattered for a moment. Damn, that was cold. Naruto glanced down and noticed Hanabi shudder for just a moment. She didn't bring a jacket. Guess there is only one thing to do. Naruto pulled off his jacket and swung it around, placing it gently over herself. I'll answer your questions shortly, just hold on tight. Hanabi glanced up with a quizzical expression. She stepped in closer to Naruto, feeling the warmth radiating off of him. Very kind of him to lend me his jacket. Stupid of me to forget mine, but very gentlemanlike of him. Naruto wrapped one of his arms around her, bringing her even closer. This caught even more attention. Surely everyone on the street was thinking the same thing on their mind, but neither of them paid any heed. Why is he putting his arm around me? Hanabi thought erratically for a moment before looking to Naruto's face. It showed no hint of romance. His face stiff and his eyes steeled. Click, click. Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated lightly. Hanabi felt a strange force upon her, and in a blink of an eye, they vanished from everyone's sight. Without a flash or sound, both of them appeared on top of a rocky surface. Naruto. Where are we? My favorite place in the whole town. Naruto replied as he released his arm from her and sat down. Hanabi peered around and noticed she was now looking down at the village. She saw all the lights in the sky and the lights of the town below her. She saw nature surround the village and was breathtaken by the view. She knew she was away from rest of the villagers, and she knew why. Here, they could talk in peace. Naruto, can you tell me about who you are? You mean what I was talking about at dinner? Hanabi nodded slowly. Naruto chuckled lightly and motioned for her to sit down beside him. Hanabi sat down next to Naruto and clenched his jacket closer together, keeping it firmly wrapped around her. I can still feel the heat. It's warm. She took a deep breath. And smells nice, she thought to herself as she buried her face into the jacket to shield against the wind. I'm an Uzumaki, as indicated by my last name. My clan was from the hidden village located in the land of whirlpools. We are distant relatives to the Senju clan, which the 1st, 2nd, and 5th Hokages are related to. My clan was known and feared for their sealing jutsu. Our fuinjutsu was rough, but powerful. Naruto took a deep breath and continued on in the story. The Senju formed a relation with the Uzumaki upon the foundation of us being distant relatives. They would help us, and we would send members to be containers to them. My mother, Kushina Uzumaki, was brought to this village to be raised as a ninja and become the demon container. My clan has not only a lot of chakra, but also very strong chakra. It what made us the ideal containers, as our chakra had the ability to bind even the tailed beasts in place. But that's all we were to them. Naruto sighed again before continuing on with his story. As for my father, he grew up here, in this village. He became a stunning shinobi, a legendary hero among the people of this village. A genius born once a generation, they called him. Who was he? The very person who we are sitting upon right now. Hanabi thought for a moment. She knew she was on the mountain with the Hokage faces. That's when it dawned for her. No way. 1, 2, 3. This must be 4, and 5 over there. Hanabi looked to Naruto with awe. You're the son of the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Konoha's yellow flash. And you've just used his technique to get up here. She felt hit slapping herself. Completely appalled not to notice something that was so obvious. He looked just like him. Even used his jutsu. Yes, indeed. Naruto spoke in confirmation. No wonder you are so strong. Hanabi said breathlessly, as if everything started to make sense. That is where you are wrong, Hanabi. What do you mean? Hanabi asked, confused to his statement. Naruto sighed heavily. I have no natural talent. I have no bloodline trait. I wasn't born a prodigy. I wasn't born as a genius. Both my parents were talented, but I inherited nothing special from them other than my determination. My only talents is that trough sheer work and dedication. I can get where I need to be. Hanabi stared down, understanding how tactful she just was. I'm a terrible person, aren't I? I just took all of his hard work, dedication, and chalked it up to his genes. Don't feel too bad, Hanabi. I'm strong because I'm a Jinchuriki. Because I had people patient enough to explain things to me. To help me and guide me through my training. Without any of those people, I wouldn't be nearly as strong as I am now. And that's what I want to be for you, Hanabi. Hanabi glanced up, seeing the trademark grin on her teacher's face. I want to be that beacon of light for you. To guide you to where you need to go to become even stronger. I knew I was right to pick you. You may say that now, but you will regret it tomorrow. Naruto hinted heavily. Hanabi felt all the warmth leave her at the statement. I don't expect it to be easy, but don't say that already. Hanabi cleared her mind and asked another question. So that compound you want, I take it belonged to the Namikaze clan. Yes. I want to fix it up. Must be pretty bad after sitting there for 20 years with no one taking care of it. If I can find someone, I'll settle down and have a family there. What? You already have someone in mind? Hanabi replied with humor, teasing her sensei. No, haven't found the right one yet. Oh, I feel like a bitch now. Hanabi sighed heavily. You needn't worry, Hanabi. Naruto replied like as if he could read her mind. It's all within due time. I just have to be patient and wait to find the one who will love me for who I am. Naruto stood back up and stretched. I think it's time I take you back to your home. I don't want your father pissed off at me from day one. Naruto laughed as he reached out his hand. Hanabi smiled sweetly as she took his hand. Once again, he motioned for her to get close. She stepped in closer as Naruto wrapped his arm around her. Next thing she knew, she was in front of the Hyuga compound, with the guards were on alert. Naruto waved both hands out in front of him towards the guards. Relax, relax guys. It's me Naruto. Just returning Hanabi Hyuga from our dinner with her father, the Hokage, and the elders. Both guards lowered their weapons and resumed guarding the gate. Well, I guess this is good night Hanabi. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Okay. What time? I don't know. Let's say 8. I'll come by to pick you up. Sounds good. Can't wait for the training session. Night Naruto. Night. Naruto called back one last time before disappear. With a grin on her face, she walked back to her room. When she closed the door behind her, she kicked off her heels, took off her dress and crawled into the bed. Feeling a little bit cold, she grabbed Naruto's suit jacket, clenched it close to her, and finally drifted off to sleep. 1st of April. Hanabi stirred slowly from her slumber. She slowly pulled together a recollection of her dream, but before she could piece it all together, all memory of it faded. The feeling of having dreamed was there, but the memory wasn't. The young Hyuga sighed heavily. Hanabi slowly inhaled, taking in some unfamiliar smell. A small smile grew on her face from the scent. Such an odd scent, but it puts me at ease. Slowly, she opened her eyes, letting the light of the world around her pour into her milky white eyes. She clenched them shut again. The world was too bright for her dreary mind to process all at once. She stayed curled up underneath the blanket of her queen-sized bed. Warm. That's how she liked it. She liked being close to any heat, and the heat underneath the blanket persuaded her to stay for several more minutes. Why must such good things come to an end? Hanabi sighed mentally as she forced herself to stir. She opened her milky white eyes once again. This time, her mind was able to process what she saw. She glanced down to see what she was holding onto. It was a black jacket, it was huge. It was practically another blanket laying on top of her small frame, under the blanket that was laying on top of her. Slowly, she pulled the memories of last night. She remembered Naruto handing her his jacket then, teleporting her. She wasn't aware of any teleporting, but she wouldn't put it past him. She didn't ask him what he did because it's rude to ask a ninja to reveal their secrets, but if he did it again, she would. They spoke briefly, where she found out that the 4th Hokage was his father. A surprise, but if she looked from it objectively, it only made sense. No way how you can look so much like him without being related in one way or another. Then it clicked in her head. She did know of a teleporting jutsu. The one that made the 4th Hokage so famous. Too early. Thinking too much. She sighed. She never could remember things clearly in the mornings. Always a slow starter, unless there was something important. She remembered the discussion they had, and then him teleporting her back to her compound, where she walked through the gate into her bedroom, immediately falling asleep. She never recounted ever giving his jacket back, meaning, I've been using his jacket as a blanket. She looked down at the collar of the jacket. There, she noticed a spot. She let out a little squeal. I drooled on his jacket. Damn it, Hanabi. How unladylike can you be? Hanabi berated herself as she sat up. I just have to get it washed before I give it back to him. The Hyuga sighed once again. She tossed his jacket into the laundry hamper across the room. The black suit jacket landed in with no issues. Score. Hanabi shuffled out of her bed and stood on her feet. They were a little weak, but as she moved around, strength started to return. She quickly took a shower and dressed herself in her ninja attire. She left her room and walked to the dining area for the main house. She walked into the adjoining kitchen and requested one of the chefs there to prepare her a simple light breakfast. After doing so, she sat at the table, waiting quietly for the food to come. She took in the relatively quiet morning. Moments passed by before the chefs arrived with a plate with a small portion of tamagoyaki, pretty much a rolled omelet, steamed rice, and miso soup. Hanabi grabbed the chopsticks, gave thanks for the meal, and started to eat the steamed rice. As Hanabi began eating, her father stepped out into the dining hall. Good morning, father. Hanabi replied sincerely as she took note of his presence. Good morning, daughter. I trust you had a good time after I left. I most certainly did. I learned a bit more about my teacher before he brought me home. How about you, father? By the looks of it, the Hokage was rough with you last night. Hiyashi sighed heavily as he massaged his temple. He knew his little daughter wasn't blissfully unaware of how the Hokage really was. The Hokage is formidable when it comes to drinking. If you ever have the chance, I suggest you don't take her up on her offers, if you have a choice. Lord Naruto seems to be the only one to hold his own with her. Duly noted, father. I will try my best to avoid ending up in such circumstances. Hanabi remarked as she thought for a moment, poised to ask another question. Why did you call him Lord Naruto, and not Sage Naruto? Is he nobility like us? Yes, and no. Since you are aware of his status, I can tell you more about his heritage. He is the last of both clans, Uzumaki and Namikaze. Well, he may not be the last of the Uzumaki, since they are wandering, but he is the last in the village. So he is the sole heir to not just one, but two clans of the village. The Uzumaki clan was given a title of nobility for their relations to the Senju clan and for their contributions to this village. The Namikaze does not necessarily have a history of being a noble clan, but after the village noticed the extraordinary potential Minato Namikaze, who became the fourth Hokage, the clan was given nobility as well. So Naruto has not only one, but two titles of nobility to him. Is that why the elders said they will tell the villagers about him after he decide which family name to inherit? I believe so. Either way, he will still receive both titles of nobility, or at least he should. Add that to him being a sage and hero of the 5 nations, he has a lot going for him. For what he's been through, it's only right. Didn't you hate him, father? No, I never truly hated him. He was annoying and childish and a prankster, but I knew who he was, not just what he was. I knew it wasn't his fault. I had nothing personal against him. That's why I never berated Hinata for following him. Hanabi giggled slightly at her father's pause. She knew what he wanted to say, but even he couldn't speak ill of his daughters. She did do that a lot, didn't she? She did. I was surprised as to how cooperative she was with the arranged marriage. She did date Naruto. I wonder why they didn't work out. She seemed so devoted to him. I think any guy would be lucky to have someone like her by their side. Ah, she was devoted, but maybe too devoted. I do not know. It isn't my place to ask about the undoing between her and her first love. I have my suspicions, but I wish not to confirm them. I understand. Hanabi replied thoughtfully as she finished off the last of her breakfast. Well then, father, I must go now. I have to meet up with Sage Naruto for training. Hanabi gently placed her chopsticks on the table and left the dining hall. I sincerely hope she knows what she is getting herself into. Hiyashi worried as he saw his youngest daughter march off to what could possibly be her worst experience. Hanabi quickly returned to her room where one of the maids were waiting on her. I have a request of you. Yes, Lady Hanabi. What is your request? I need my laundry to be done. Take special care of the suit jacket that is in the pile. It was given to me last night to keep me warm in the evening. When it is clean, please fold it and wrap it up so I may return it. The maid bowed gracefully. As you wish. It shall be done by today. Thank you. Hanabi ended the conversation there. She technically didn't have to say thanks, as most nobles don't, since it is expected for the servants to follow orders, but it wouldn't sit well with her if she didn't at least say thanks. Hanabi retrieved a number of tools from her room before leaving for the Hyuga's main gate. Slowly, the blonde shinobi stirred in his full-size bed. He unfurled from a curled position and sat up straight. Sleeping cap still on, he rolled out of his bed and stumbled through his tiny apartment. He started up the shower first, knowing it will take a while before it warms up. While the water ran, he searched through his dresser and closet for a set of his Jonin uniform. Pull out a set, he tossed it onto his bed before making his way to the shower. He stripped down and took a quick shower. After he finished taking his shower, he quickly dried himself off and wore his outfit. He grabbed a pot, filled it with water and left it on the stove to boil it. He grabbed an instant cup of ramen from the pantry and opened it, preparing it. Once the water came to a boil, he carefully poured the water into the cup and placed a pair of chopsticks on top of the lid to keep it shut. He shuffled around the room and opened up the window next to his bed to let from fresh air before walking back to his ramen. Figuring enough time has passed, B removed the lid, gave thanks for the meal, and began eating the ramen. A small smile appeared on his face as he started to enjoy the simple things in life. After finishing off his cup of ramen, he packed his pouches with scrolls and weapons before setting off to the Hyuga compound. As he left the door, he created 2 clones. He ordered one to do the laundry and clean the apartment. He then turned to the other. I want you to go to the library. Make as many clones as you want, and find some good books to read. When they finish reading, pop them one at a time so I'm not overloaded with info. The clone nodded in affirmation and left immediate. Might as well educate himself while he was training. When you train the body, you should train the mind as well. With that taken care of, he left, walking at a normal pace towards the Hyuga compound. Naruto showed up at the main gate of the Hyuga compound and noticed his new student. He waved at her casually as the guards bowed. Good morning, Sage Naruto. The guards replied simultaneously. Naruto grinned as he greeted the guards. He turned and greeted the young Hyuga. Good morning, Hanabi. Good morning, Sage Naruto. Hanabi could see the sweat drop from Naruto's head. Please, Hanabi, just Naruto if you will. I'm kinda tired of being called Sage all the time. Naruto replied casually. I'm sorry, Naruto-sensei. Another sweat drop appeared on the back of his head. I guess that will do for now. We will get there in time. Naruto waved for Hanabi to follow him as he left. So what will we do today, Naruto-sensei? Hanabi asked to satisfy her curiosity. Train, obviously. Naruto replied with gusto. I meant to ask what specifically are we going to train today? Hanabi asked exasperated. The first thing we need to do is build up your chakra reserves. As a Chunin, I assume you know how to efficiently walk up trees and walk on water. You are correct, Naruto-sensei. Good. So I won't have to bother with that. Now, what is the best way to build up your chakra reserves? Naruto quizzically asked his student. That would be to use up as much of your chakra as you can, to force your body to generate more. Correct and incorrect. What do you mean? First we must cover the basis of chakra. Chakra is made up by mixing both the physical and spiritual energies inside. Physical energy can be built by training the body. Spiritual energy can be built by studying, meditating, and through experience of using jutsu. We will be doing both all day today. So we must train physically and we must gain experience from using jutsu repeatedly. But Naruto-sensei, if I deplete my entire chakra reserve from using a jutsu over and over, I run the risk of chakra exhaustion and it will take a whole day before my chakra returns. Don't worry about it. I have a method to cover it. Naruto grinned as they arrived in one of the nearest training compounds. Hanabi tilted her head, trying to think of what method Naruto could use, with no avail. She looked around the training grounds and took in the sight. There was imparting in the trees for this training ground, along with a small river running along the edge of the training ground. Now, I assume you already know your primary element. Yes, Naruto-sensei, it's water. Naruto gave Hanabi a knowing smile. That's good. That's my secondary element, and I happen to be very proficient at it. Now, use the best water jutsu you can that eats up a lot of your chakra. Naruto stated as he stood from the side. Hanabi nodded and lowered her stance and formed 3 signs. Dragon, tiger, hare. Hanabi took a deep breath as her cheeks filled with water. Water release. Wild water wave. A powerful and steady stream of water continuously poured from her mouth, shooting across the training ground and into the stream. She continued this for half a minute before the stream finally ran out. Hanabi bent over, panting, gasping for air. She felt her reserves pretty depleted and didn't want to run it too low. Good choice. The wild water wave jutsu allows you to output how much water you want by how much chakra you are willing to pour into it. Very smart choice indeed. She rarely heard words of praise from her father, so hearing it from her sensei brought a smile to her. Now, sit down for a minute. Naruto instructed as he paced behind her. After she sat down, he did the same. Give me a moment while I gather nature energy. Naruto informed her as he began meditating. The sage started feeling the area around him. The earth, the wind, the water, the grass, the life. Slowly, the nature energy seeps into him as markings appear around his inhaled deeply, taking in the life around him, and exhaled, breathing life back out. He opened his eyes, achieving his sage state. He looked at the tiny figure before him. He saw her whole chakra circulatory system. He saw her diminished chakra reserve in her stomach. Hanabi. Naruto called out in a sagely tone. Hold still. I will place my hand on your chakra core and carefully inject some of my own chakra to replenish yours, understood? Sure. I never heard of such a useful technique before. It was used briefly during the Third Great Ninja War. Naruto stated, as he slipped his hands underneath the bottom of her shirt, placing it against her bare skin. The jutsu was only used in emergency situations due to its heavy cost. The user of the jutsu has to use twice as much chakra as what would be given to the subject, so it typically drained the user just to do it once. Hanabi felt his bare hands and twitch at the sudden touch, but didn't yell out. It wasn't like he could anything embarrassing. If his hands went even lower, she didn't care who he was. She would promptly proceed to bash his face. Isn't there a more efficient way to transfer one's chakra to another? Hanabi asked as she felt warm energy being poured into her core. No, that is the most efficient. People not used to using this technique would probably waste 5 times as much chakra. Naruto slowly topped off Hanabi's reserves. He pulled his hands away. There. All done. Try again. Feeling refreshed, the kunoichi stood up, formed the same 3 seals, and used the same jutsu. This time, there may not have been a noticeable difference, but she felt like it lasted longer, or at least a little more powerful. 2 hours passed in this motion. Hanabi used a variety of different jutsu to change it up over other hours. Naruto called it to a halt as the sun loomed at its highest point in the sky. He began to see the mental exhaustion take over in Hanabi. He was topping off her reserves over and over, and her reserves were growing slightly more and more each time, but the repetitive nature of this training was starting to show. Let's call it a break and relax for a bit. Naruto suggested. It's okay, Naruto-sensei. I can keep going. I know you can keep going, Hanabi, but overdoing it will cause more trouble than it's worth. So for now, lay down, relax, and reflect over the experiences you gained over the past 2 hours. Hanabi seemed a bit down, but did as she was told. She laid down, sprawling her limbs across the lush green grass and closed her eyes. She recalled each of her jutsu feeling like they've gotten stronger, even though she was just beginning. She knew this wouldn't be possible with anyone else. No one had the vast chakra reserves that Naruto had. Even so, he must be pushing himself near his limits after refilling her so many times. Even so, as he instructed, she reflected on her experiences. 10 minutes passed. 20 minutes passed. 30 minutes passed. She finally sat upright, thinking there was no more for her to examine. She opened her eyes and noticed her sensei simply sitting. No, he wasn't simply sitting. He was meditating. She felt an enormous aura come off him. It didn't feel dense, it felt soft. It didn't feel heavy, it felt light. It didn't feel cold, it felt warm. It didn't feel dangerous, it felt peaceful. Curious, Hanabi made her way to the front of Naruto and sat down, staring at his face. She took note of the orange pigmentation surrounding his eyes, confirming he was in sage mode. Hanabi sat down and waited patiently. This was her sensei's time to train. A few moments passed before his eyes opened. She held a steady gaze as she looked at his golden eyes. His pupils looked just like a toad's. I guess that's because he's a toad sage. Makes sense he would take some characteristics of them in his sage mode. Alright, Hanabi, I want you to practice your chakra control. You must remember to do this every day. I'm already very proficient at controlling my chakra, Naruto-sensei. Why must I continue to train it? Hanabi asked sincerely. Because as your chakra reserves grow, you are not adept at handling more chakra at once. So when we do training to build your chakra reserves, we must also do training to ensure you can control the new amount of chakra at your disposal. Wow. Hanabi let out an audible surprise. How do you know all this stuff? Lots of messing up on my end. I was raising my chakra reserves more and more, but my control over jutsu became worse and worse. I asked around and studied a lot of books before I found out why. Finally, I found it in a book of chakra fundamentals in the library over a year ago. Ever since then, I made sure to pour a lot of time and training into chakra control through my shadow clones. Why shadow clones? Hanabi asked as her interest peaked. A grin appeared on Naruto's face. You'll learn once you can do the shadow clone. Hanabi playfully pouted at her teacher as he wouldn't tell her. So what should I do? The best exercise to do. Walking on water. But I can do that already. That may well be the case, but can you do it without using a hand sign? Can you do it without focusing at all? Is it second nature to you? Hanabi looked down in disappointment. No, sensei. So you haven't mastered it. Even so, as you build your chakra reserves, you must continue this training to maintain that level of chakra control. Once you have mastered basic chakra control, we will move to shape and nature transformation training. Light shined in her milky white eyes. Finally, something new. With renewed vigor, Hanabi walked over to the river. She collected herself and poured a small amount of chakra into her feet as she stepped onto the water. Her feet sank no more than a quarter inch into the water before she stabilized herself. She felt the water rushing underneath her and adjusted the amount of chakra every minute. She slowly started taking tilting steps across the water, but nonetheless walking on water. He was right. This is a lot harder than before, and I only grew my chakra slightly. It's probably because I'm not using a hand sign either. Naruto smiled as he saw his student teeter-totter her way across the surface of the water awkwardly, but she was learning fast. Faster than him. Suddenly, a cruel prank came to his mind. Regardless how old he may be, or how mature he has gotten over the years, he still loved to pull pranks. He made a single clone while his student was looking down, concentrating on her feet. They looked to one another, giving each other a knowing nod. The clone vanished before Hanabi even had a chance to look up. Hanabi took several more steps around. She closed her eyes to concentrate more, searching out when the water surged with more power, or receded its flow. The river was constantly moving and constantly changing. She had to adapt her flow continuously. She couldn't keep it steady. It had to be fluctuating. She focused more. She could now sense the change in water a few seconds ahead of time, but at the cost of not moving. That won't do me any good in a fight. I'm concentrating too much. I need to. Hanabi's expression changed dramatically. She started to pour even more water into her feet for the oncoming surge of water she felt rushing towards her. She wasn't fast enough. The speed and the change in volume was too drastic. Next thing she knew, she fell into the water, drenching herself. In the distance, she heard a loud bellow of laughter reverberating through the air. Damn it. Just when I was thinking he was mature, he goes pulling a prank. Great and wise sage Mai. Hanabi clenched her eyes, shaking her fist with the frustration building up inside her. She sighed heavily and opened her eyes, only to see Naruto standing before, reaching his hands out with a smile. Fine. I can play the same game. Hanabi grabbed his hand to help herself up, but in an instant, her smile flashed to an evil grin. She flared chakra into her hand and instead of pulling herself up, she pulled him down. Naruto lost balance from the sudden rise in strength. He figured Hanabi would attempt to pull him down, but he didn't expect her to use chakra to augment her strength, so even though he made preparations to guard against her tactic, he still fell down into the river. Good to know I'm not the only one who's willing to pull pranks. Naruto chuckled lightly as he too was now drenched. Reap what you sow indeed. He opened his eyes and noticed the situation he was in. This is not good. He was currently positioned in a precarious stance above his student. His face was dangerously close to her. Click, click. He shifted his legs to stabilize his prone stance, which incidentally brushed his knee against something he should not have. Hanabi's eyes widened with shock and then quickly narrowed as she glared daggers at her teacher. Naruto clenched his eyes shut and lowered his head in an apologetic manner. Sorry. Just get off. Hanabi hissed out, venom dripping between her teeth. Don't have to tell me twice. Naruto quickly and uncomfortably brought himself to an upright position before extending his hand once again. Hell has no fury like a woman's scorn. Hanabi took his hand as leverage and brought herself also to an upright position. Fuming, she walked out of the river still drenched. Now I have to go change. Sorry. My prank went a little too far there. You had something to do with that sudden fluctuation with the water, didn't you? Hanabi asked, catching onto his choice of words, as she turned around, finally facing her instructor. Yes. I figured that it would be a bit funny and teach you a lesson too. Oh, and what is that? Hanabi crossed her arms across her dripping outfit, waiting for a reply. Naruto's eyes steeled over and his happy demeanor vanished. When fighting, the water is never calm and predictable. You should never predict how the water is going to change, but wait for it to happen and do it on the spot. Hanabi stood there for a few moments, contemplating what he was trying to explain. He was correct. Earlier she was focusing so much on predicting that she could hardly even move. Walking on water is one thing, but mastering it to where you won't even have to think about it is a completely different thing. You can't effectively fight a battle on water if you have to concentrate and predict even the slightest bit on how the water will change. If this is the basics of chakra control, she had a long way to go. He's right about that, but I'm still pissed at him. She glared at her sensei. Warmth flowing back into his eyes, he suggested a thought. How about this? After we change, I'll treat you to lunch, sound good? Hanabi stood there for a brief moment before giving her a reply. Fair, but I'm still going to be mad at you sensei. Naruto sighed as he walked up. I'll drop you off at your compound so you won't have to walk around all drenched. Thanks. Hanabi simply replied before the both of them vanished. Nearly an hour has passed by since Naruto dropped off Hanabi at the main gate. The look on the guards were priceless. Hanabi almost immediately stormed away from him when they arrived. Since then, he quickly got back to his dinky little apartment and promptly tossed his clothes in the dryer while he took a long shower. Afterwards, his clothes were dried off, so he changed back into them, since they were hardly dirty, and walked back to the compound. There he leaned against the wall next to the guards, not saying a thing. Why is she taking so long? Naruto grumbled to himself. Certainly enough, as soon as he thought about leaving, Hanabi came walking out. So where are we going to go? Hanabi asked, her hair still wet. My favorite place. Naruto grinned as he motioned for Hanabi to follow. The two of them walked through the center of the village. Naturally, both of them always drew other people's attention. One was a hero, the other was a main branch member of the Hyuga clan. Both was well known through the village, but never seen together. Until last night and today. Several of the citizens seemed to have been whispering to one another. Hanabi was intrigued by their reactions, but decided to brush it off. They couldn't be thinking about what I think they are. That would be foolish. We aren't even properly dressed for. Hanabi stopped mid-thought as she realized where her train of thought was heading. Why would I even think that? Just stop thinking about it. You are learning from him to become more powerful. Simple as that. No more. No less. Hanabi released any extra thoughts from her mind and concentrated on what was in front of her. Naruto led them to his favorite place to eat in the entire village. Whenever he wanted a place to relax, or just to eat, he would almost always come here. Ichiraku's ramen stand. Naruto promptly sat on a stool and grinned as he waved hello to both Tsuki and Ayame. Hanabi sighed. What was I expecting? Should have known he would have taken me here. Hanabi took up a stool next to her sensei. How may I help you today? Tsuki called out, asking for his customer's orders. 3 pork ramen, Tsuki. Naruto replied all too happily as he conversed the old man. And I'll have 1 bowl of chicken ramen please. Coming right up. Moments passed by before their bowls arrived. Both shinobis gave their thanks and began to eat. The difference between the student and teacher were night and day. One was practically inhaling the ramen while the other was eating it in a most graceful manner. Between the infrequent breaths as he inhaled his ramen, he would ask the old man and his daughter how their day been. Hearing their response, his eyes would dance with happiness, knowing they were doing good. So why are you with her, Naruto? Ayame called out, with a devious smirk on her face as he finished off his 3rd bowl. Hanabi Hyuga is my disciple. So I'm training her. Ayame chuckled sweetly. Disciple huh? That's not what I heard. And pray tell, what exactly did you hear? Naruto asked in a dull voice. He didn't like where this was going, especially with that expression on her face. Ayame's eyes shined with mischief. Girlfriend, was the single word she let out. Oh, this is too much fun. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he posed a question. And what led you to believe that rumor? This. Ayame replied without missing a beat. She swiftly pulled out a single picture from her pocket. It showed Naruto in a suit, minus the jacket, with the said jacket wrapped around Hanabi's tiny frame. His arm wrapped around her, and a light blush appearing on her face. Anyone would have mistaken these two as a couple from the picture alone. Who? Hanabi immediately dropped her chopsticks as she asked in a shocked, high-pitched voice. Naruto replied with a single word laced with poison. Kakashi. When? Hanabi asked in a barely audible voice. Clearly last night, Naruto remarked smartly. How? By being a sneaky bastard. Naruto growled under his breath. Worry not Hanabi. Naruto's gaze darkened along with his tone. I'll deal with him later. Naruto stated as he placed the change for their meals on the counter. Naruto separated himself from the ramen stand and motioned for his student to follow him. Let's get back to training. Hanabi hesitantly nodded, slightly frightened by his demeanor. Nonetheless, she still followed her teacher. Both of them arrived at the training grounds and started stretching. So sensei, what will we be training right now? Hanabi stated as she started stretching her legs. Well, much like how we trained our yin, our spiritual energy, earlier by using jutsu, we must train our yang, our physical energy, for the rest of the day. The both finished stretching before Naruto motioned her to a tree. We will start off with kicks and punches. You want to throw them straight and sharp. Through punching, you can use your taijutsu faster and more accurately. I'll watch to correct your form if I notice anything. Hanabi replied with a single nod before throwing her punches at the tree. A few minutes passed by before Naruto held his hand up. Okay. Naruto quickly grabbed his student's attention as he took up his stance next to her. First, lower your stance, that way you will have a lower center of gravity, that way. Naruto swept one of her legs out from her. Hanabi let out a gasp as she lost her balance, but felt a large hand placed against her upper back for support. She blushed a little from embarrassment. Naruto withdrew his hand once she firmly placed both feet and lowered her stance. You won't topple over so easily. When you throw your punches, be sure to fully extend the arm. Naruto suggested as he grabbed her arm, extending it, and tapping the elbow to lock it in place. Be sure to properly distance yourself from the tree so you can use the full extension of your arm. Hanabi took a deep breath and resumed her punches. After 30 minutes, Naruto instructed her to work on her kicks. Training your legs is one of the most important things you can do. For the kicks, you have to maintain balance on one foot while swinging your whole body. This will not only build up your strength, which allows you to run faster and kick harder, but also maintain a great center of balance no matter what pose you are in. Hanabi replied in affirmative and started kicking her tea.